Time now for us to take a look at what's making news in the aviation sector. This week we're joined by Ben Vogel, editor of IHS Jane's Airport Review. Ben, welcome to the briefing. We've got a bit of a theme for everything we're talking about today in aviation news. It's all about how we actually board a plane, how we get from outside the airport into the lovely world of duty free. Let's talk about liquids first.
Okay.
Does it look like we're going to finally be able to take our water bottles and our hair gel and everything else through the scanners?
Well, that's a general idea, but perhaps there is some light at the end of the tunnel, but it's going to take a little bit of time before we're finally back to near to where we were before the infamous attempted attacks in August 2006. What's happening in Europe is that at long last, it looks as though European airports are about to lift some of the restrictions on the passengers to taking through the liquids, aerosols and gels through the checkpoint. It's going to happen in three distinct phases, beginning with phase one, as you might expect, on the 31st of January 2014.
And so it's still going to take us a little bit of time before we're actually going to do it. Talk us through the technology that's enabling them to sort of change this. I mean, is there actually a technological change, or is it just, they've come to their senses to a certain extent?
Oh, definitely. Technology plays a massive role in formulating this change of policy. There are different types of technology that are being deployed that will enable passengers to take through some of their liquids. Firstly, there are bottle scanners, which, as the name suggests, allow passengers to take their containers of liquids and have them scanned and then proceed through the checkpoint. But there are also more complex technologies that are conveyor-based. So you take the liquids, put them in the tray, as we do at the moment. They go through and they're scanned reliably. Therefore, when you go through the checkpoint, you can pick the liquids up again and go through. But be that as it may, the technology that exists at the moment still means that passengers have to take out their laptops and iPads before going through the checkpoint. So there's still, even with the technology that's currently available, even with the technology that's coming up, there will be inconvenience for passengers even after the final phase of this in 2016.
Okay, and then the other thing we need to get through security is ourselves. Body scanners we're seeing all over the world now, and it looks like they're going to be, more of them are going to be introduced here in the UK.
That's absolutely right. Yes, there was an announcement by the Transport Secretary, Patrick McLaughlin, on the 21st, so very recently, to say that 9 more UK airports are going to be using body scanners. And there are 2 other airports that are currently trialling the technology where it's going to be fully implemented, and that brings the total number of airports in the UK that are going to be using these systems to 19. So if you're flying out of the UK in the near future, the chances are that there is going to be a body scanner at the checkpoint. You can still refuse to go through, in which case you have what's called a private search, which means a manual pat-down, basically. But if you refuse even to go through that, then you won't be allowed to board the plane. So body scanners are here to stay.
But I mean, when we talk about the privacy issues with body scanners, I used one in Sydney just a couple of weeks ago, and you go through it, and then you come out the other side, and there's a picture, essentially like a stick man, with a little sort of mark across each part where they think they might have seen something, and then they just pat you on your leg to see whether actually that is your keys that you've left there or something else. Right. What's actually seen right there by other passengers isn't invasive at all, is it?
That's correct. Now, when this technology was first mooted as a solution, the images from some of these systems were actually quite realistic. So there was actually a representation of the individual being scanned. You could actually see their body and under their clothing
in all its glory,
so on and so forth. And that caused, predictably, quite a lot of upset and quite understandably among the travelling public. So the technology manufacturers and the regulators got together and they developed this rather, well, apparently low-tech solution. It looks very low-tech, doesn't it? The 2D
It does, yeah.
mannequin-style stick man or stick woman. But that's all that's needed, really. I mean, you don't actually have to get a fully realistic picture of the passenger. All the operator of the technology needs to see is a potential position on the body or on the clothing of a threat item. So a generic two-dimensional image is all that's needed.
Ben Vogel, we'll leave it there, editor of HS Jane's Airport Review.